Hello and welcome to the Best Life Podcast, where we here at Altra Federal Credit Union are helping you live your best life. I'm your host, Tony Beyer. Thank you so much for tuning in. And today we have a repeat guest, friend of the show, because I got to be honest with you, Brandon, the last time that you were on here, this was back in February of this year, episode 24, if you want to reference it. We talked about some credit myths, and we've gotten some requests to learn a little bit more about credit, how we can improve it, and then also to make sense of the whole underwriting process. So we really appreciate you being back to do the podcast, Brandon.
Thanks for having me, Tony.
Absolutely. So right off the bat, I did mention underwriting. You are the AVP of Consumer Lending, so you oversee all of that. Brandon, what exactly is credit underwriting?
Sure. So credit underwriting is assessing risk as part of making a lending decision. So that includes reviewing an applicant's credit report to evaluate their credit history, which is going to include their payment history, their level of utilization for revolving credit, and also any prior derogatory credit history. It also includes looking at income to determine repayment ability, and in the case of a loan secured by collateral, such as a house or a vehicle, evaluating the value of that collateral. It's really the responsibility of the underwriter to evaluate and manage the risks associated with lending.
Okay. And it's also a term that I know that I've heard in insurance as well. Underwriting. So those yeses, those nos, those hard maybes, perhaps. So there's a lot that the underwriters are looking at. So maybe you could walk us a little bit through the process, Brandon, about the basic process that someone might expect, when it comes to borrowing money, let's say for a car, for a boat, personal line of credit, whatever. What's that process like, Brandon?
So to start the process of obtaining a loan, we need a loan application and a current credit report. So there's a number of ways that you could do this. You can apply online, both directly from our website, or if you're an existing member, you can apply right from within online banking. You can apply over the phone with our lending center or our branch staff, as well as in person at any of our branch locations. Once we have that application entered into our system, that's when it's going to come over to the underwriters to take a look, and they're going to determine if they need any additional information. Now, depending on what type of loan it is, that could be proof of income, purchase agreement, a copy of a title, or just maybe additional questions like what is the purpose that these funds are going to be used for.
Sure.
So we take all that in order to make the credit decision. Now, most loan types, so your personal loans, your credit cards, your vehicles, we can have that decision made sometimes the same day or the next day once we have all that information collected. Where a home equity loan or a HELOC, that might take a couple weeks.
Sure.
Because we may need an appraisal. We're going to have to order title work. There's just some additional things that we need to collect in order to make that credit decision. But overall, I think here at Altra, it's a very easy and quick and painless process.
Excellent. And like you mentioned, if someone's not around one of our offices, around a branch, they're able to do this over the phone, online. So making it very easy for our members and those that would like to become a member of Altra as well. Excellent. So what are some of the things that underwriters are looking for when it comes to making a decision or, more likely to be approved, I guess?
So a lot of that's going to come down to the 5 C's, which some people may be familiar with. Those 5 C's are character, capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. So character is like we talked about before, your credit history and your payment history. Capacity is going to be your likelihood to be able to repay the loan. So that's taking a look at your income, your employment, and financial ratios such as debt to income. Capital, think of that as your backup plan, your safety net. So if a hardship comes up, how likely are you still going to be able to make your loan payment? That could be taking a look at your net worth, your funds on deposit, etc. Collateral is going to be giving additional protection to the financial, so to Altra in this case, making the loan in the event of a default. So for example, if you're applying for a personal loan and you have weaker credit, you may be able to have a higher chance of getting approved if you have collateral to offer up to secure the loan. And then finally, conditions, that's really the overall economy. When the economy is down, which is often going to lead to higher delinquency and charge-offs, financials will often tighten up their underwriting process or their practices. This may result in being asked for collateral instead of getting a personal loan or asking for cash down in order to get an auto loan.
Sure. And all that makes sense too, as far as how someone's been with credit in the past, an indicator how they might be in the future. Some of those other conditions and collateral, all those C's come into play with this. And, we don't want to put our members in a bad spot either and, have a loan that's going to make it difficult for them to, live and pay other bills. So we certainly don't want to do that. There's a lot of things that come into consideration that our underwriters are looking at as well. So I was curious, if someone is looking to improve their credit standing, improve their credit score, what are some of the things that they could focus on, Brandon, in order to do that?
Yeah, so to improve your credit score, you want to focus on making on-time payments and cleaning up any derogatory credit history. Collections, charge-offs, things of that nature are going to remain on your credit report for several years. A paid collection or a paid charge-off is going to have much less of an impact on your score moving forward. Also lowering your revolving utilization. So that is the percent of availability on your credit card. The more availability you have, the higher your credit score is going to be. There's not an exact formula for that, but rough numbers would say each percent that you can increase that availability is going to be about a 1 point increase to your credit score. And while improving a weak credit score doesn't happen overnight, if you keep making those on-time payments, working to clean up that derogatory credit from the past, you will start to see your score rise.
Yeah, so what's happened long ago in the past has much less impact than what's going on now, right? Is that correct?
Yes, exactly.
And big things are going to hurt your score. It's going to be missed payments, right? It's going to be cards at capacity. You've gone to the wherever and just with your card, YOLO, and just go spending like crazy. That's going to hurt your score as well. Anything else that could hurt your credit score, credit standing?
Yeah, so exactly. Number one is going to be your payment history. It can take quite a while to build from that low credit score back up to a high credit score. Your credit score can drop very quickly. One late payment can cause a score drop in excess of 50 points. Collections, charge-off, bankruptcies also are going to have a very large negative impact on your credit score. And also, like you mentioned, again, that high credit card utilization. So if we take an example, if we look at two people that have $10,000 in credit card limits, someone with a balance of $1,000 is going to have a higher credit score than someone with an $8,000 balance,
Sure.
Everything else being equal. Again, it comes back to that kind of 1 point per percent on that credit card utilization.
Okay, makes sense. Those are the basic questions that I had and, wanted to answer what we've been hearing, from our listeners as far as improving credit standing, improving credit score, wanting to be more likely to be approved with all of this. Anything else that you wanted to cover here at the end? And again, we're speaking with Brandon Hougom. He is the AVP of Consumer Lending here at Altra Federal Credit Union. Thank you for taking the time, Brandon. But anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, just two last things that come to mind. One is just the importance of keeping an eye on your credit and monitoring. You can get free weekly online credit reports from all three credit bureaus, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion at www.annualcreditreport.com. If anything is being reported incorrectly, you can work with the credit bureau and the financial that is doing the incorrect reporting to get that corrected. For example, if there's a collection on your credit that doesn't belong to you, you can dispute that with the credit bureau to work at getting that removed. And then another one, just a common misconception surrounds what does it mean to be a cosigner? We often see or hear people that are co-signing for someone else think that they're just vouching for the person but don't have any responsibility for the loan payments, when in fact being a co-signer makes you equally liable for the loan. If the primary borrower fails to make payments or defaults on the loan, you as the co-signer become responsible for the full amount of the loan, including interest and fees. So that's very important to consider as you work to either maintain or rebuild your credit. Co-signing for someone could end up hurting your score in the event that they don't make the payments.
Sure. And that's going to be different than say an authorized user on an account. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So an authorized user on a credit card, there's no liability there. You're just having a card that you can use but never responsible for the payment. A co-signer, you truly are fully responsible.
Gotcha. Good to know that difference and distinction here as well. And it's also nice to know that when it comes to, credit worthiness, a credit score, I'm sure you've seen it before, Brandon, where someone's gone from a not so great credit score and have able to get themselves into a good spot, which I'm sure is encouraging and good thing to see.
Yes, it's our favorite thing to see, that someone that's, maybe a credit score down in the 500s works at it, takes some time, but they get their score back up to that over 700 mark. It's, again, really great to see.
Absolutely. And we've got a lot of great resources and information on our site at altra.org. I will also have in the show notes for you the annualcreditreport.com, where you can get your free credit report once a week from each of the big three credit bureaus. Well, we really appreciate you taking the time, Brandon, to talk about this important topic. Thank you so much for stopping by the podcast again.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
On this episode of the Best Life Podcast, we spoke with Brandon Hougom, who is the AVP of Consumer Lending for Altra Federal Credit Union. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Best Life Podcast, brought to you by Altra Federal Credit Union. We appreciate you taking a moment to learn how you could live your best life. If you have a question or a topic you'd like us to cover, send me an email at tjbuyer@altra.org, and who knows, it may even make it into a future episode. Don't forget to follow the Best Life Podcast pretty much wherever you get your podcasts, or find it on our website at altra.org. Thanks again, be well, and we'll talk to you again soon.